Welcome to Phil Wilson Chats with Celebrities. And here is your host, Phil Wilson.
John Fishell spent decades creating and performing the music he loved while also working as a college music professor. A lifetime later, he's climbing the media-based top 40 activator chart right alongside artists like Taylor Swift and Doja Cat. He is currently the highest ranked unsigned artist on the chart. And John joins me now. How are you doing, John?
Hey, doing great. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. After hearing your music, I thought we've got to get John on the show. John Fishell, absolutely great bit of rock there. Just love it.
Thank you so much. That's the idea.
I absolutely love it. Now, I normally ask guests straight away if they've had any other jobs before starting in the music business, but yours is self-explanatory. What were you professing at college?
Generally, I was teaching music recording and production. I did also teach some music theory and some more media-based courses, but my specialty was music recording.
And you did some producing as well, didn't you?
Yes, sir. A couple of jazz and world albums, and just albums for friends of mine, and I was lucky to get to do it, honestly.
And you also did a soundtrack as well, a film soundtrack, is that right?
Yeah, in fact, I've done a couple, but the gentleman opening for us is someone he and I collaborated on a film, and we won some awards with it, so we're really proud of it.
Wow, excellent. Is that available on CD, the soundtrack?
Actually, there was some disagreements over releasing that as a standalone CD, but the movie is okay, and you can get through it and watch it, and the music is fantastic. So it's called Jerry.
Yes.
And it's a good look. It's a good independent film for sure.
Fabulous. We'll have to look that one up. Now, were you carving your music career while doing your day job?
It was kind of the other way around. I really only wanted to do music, and the teaching was kind of fell in my lap. And honestly, I wasn't expecting it, and I was around great teachers, and I'm not one of them, but I was, however, passionate about what I was doing, and I think the students would pick up on that from me. So I was able to help them in that way.
Yeah, it's good when somebody is really passionate about a subject that they're actually, doing a lecture on or such like, because then you have some kind of connectivity and you can learn better that way, rather than somebody who's just off the street saying, oh yeah, I know about music. And you can see straight away that, when they get questioned and things and they haven't got the answers, that's when they start falling apart.
Well, honestly, there were lots of questions I couldn't answer, but the nice thing was, the students and I, we're all after the same thing. We really all wanted to, be involved creating music, and since we had that in common, I mean, they were teaching me right along with me teaching them, so It was just a great time.
Yeah, great connection you've had there with your students there. Now, have you always wanted to be a rock star from being a child?
I still always want to be a rock star. It seems to be elusive, that thing. I think everybody wants to be a rock. Everyone wants to be an athlete and a rock star. I think that's some kind of human condition thing. I think
Did you, when you were younger, were you there with like the hairbrush or whatever and going ah?
And funny, I used to have a badminton racket, and I cut out some cardboard and glued it on.
Wow.
And so that was my guitar for a long time, and my drummer beat on these giant boxes of laundry detergent, and that was his drums, and we put Beatles records and Kiss records on and jumped around, and that was our band. It was great.
I love it. Well, me mother, she got all of the pots and pans out, and then because I enjoyed playing the pots and pans, then she would say, I think it's time to put them away now.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Sometimes
of too much noise.
I don't know. Sometimes pots and pans sound better than actual drums, you know.
Well, that's true. Yes, that's true. Yes, I've played a few because I'm a drummer myself. You see, so I've played on a few kits which actually sound horrendous.
Well, I get it. And the way to go. I love talking with drums. Are my favorite sounding instrument. I can't play them for anything, but I just love being around drummers.
Oh, I've always had the rhythm. My mum said you've always had the beat. As soon as music plays, for some reason I nod my head, and people thought there's something wrong with that kid. But it's because if you love the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you feel it, don't you?
You do. You
do. So I think it's something that's a natural kind of thing, isn't it?
Agreed.
Yeah, that
totally
a bit of if you hear a rhythm, you just want to move your feet or nod your head or whatever.
Well, for the good ones, anyway.
Well, that's true. Yes, that's true. Now, who were your idols when you were growing up?
Oh man, I had so many. A lot of British bands and artists. I mean, everybody. Well, I maybe not everybody. I certainly started with the Beatles, and went on to Zeppelin and Queen, and AC/DC.
Yes.
These were, I still hold them in such high regard, and man, all of those influences certainly come out in anything I'm doing. There's some other idols in there, like my dad would play 70s yacht rock, so that the Eagles and America and Seals and Crofts and everything. And then my mom would also play these folk singers, Judy Collins and Roberta Flack, and those kinds of things, and it all mixed in,
Yes, and it'll be all coming out in your music as well. Obviously, Brian Johnson of AC/DC, he's from our neck of the woods here in the northeast. So he's still singing as well. Actually, well, he's trying to be a low key because otherwise he'll lose his voice altogether.
I just love watching that guy, and I love listening to him speak. He sounds like a pirate, all the time. And I've just gotten interested in his band before AC/DC. I think was called Geordie or Geordie.
Geordie, that's right. Yeah. Yes.
And as I just started, watching some of those performances he would do, and I mean, his hair is hilarious in those. But I'm really liking some of those songs.
Yeah, you'll have to catch a documentary that he did. I think it was on Sky Arts or something. And he was like visiting lots and lots of like rock stars and such, like Billy Joel. And there was loads of other people. And he did do an interview. Brian Johnson did a chat with Sting and all sorts of people. So you'll have to look that up there. I forget I think it's called Unplugged or something like that. But you'll see it in any case if you type it in. Sky Arts and put Brian Johnson of AC/DC, probably come up with a whole series for you to view there, but he doesn't talk about Geordie.
But that's too bad. I mean, some of those songs are good,
Yeah, he did some funny ones as well. Have you heard of Geordie's Lost His Liggy?
No.
Well, that's like a liggy is a marble, but he sings this song about a marble, and this guy called Geordie's lost his marble, and he eventually finds it. I think he finds it in the toilet or something. It's it's so funny, but you'll have to look that up. It's called Geordie's Lost His Liggy.
Got it. Okay, I just wrote it down.
You made a mental thought of that one. Great stuff. Now, what is the biggest venue you've ever performed at?
In my, it was a really funny story. I temporarily joined a Temptations cover band many years ago, and it just so happened they were opening for an R&B artist called Regina Bell.
Oh yes, I know Regina Bell. Yes.
Oh, do you? So there's this an amphitheater in the DC area that she was playing, and this Temptations band was opening. I had no idea. They gave me the address, and I showed up, and there's 5,000 people
Wow.
There. I was the second keyboard player, thank God, because I froze, and I just to put a punctuation point, I was seriously the only white guy in that place.
Wow.
And just you added, it was a horrible performance by me. I was completely thrown by all of it, but I think that was the biggest one.
That was the biggest one. Oh, and great with Regina Bell as well. She's a good name to be associated with. I know that for sure. Now, do you have any memorable performance that you could tell us about from the last 5 decades in music other than that one?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think some of the ones that stick in my mind are the ones that completely go wrong. I just fret over those so much. I could just sort of remember the feeling in every moment. I have all those sort of Spinal Tap kind of stories. I remember one, they were offering free food right outside of a venue, and I started playing, and then right after I started playing, they said, "Okay, the food's ready," and everybody got left. That was funny. No, I mean, had some good ones. I don't really think of the venues so much as more the feeling that I get, and just how proud I am to stand in front of my drummer, who's so good and so supportive of me. So I tend to remember those.
I bet you've got some great stories to tell, but it's a shame this is just a short interview.
Yeah. A lot of funny stories, yeah.
A lot of funny stories. You probably could write a book.
No, I should.
Yeah, you will in the future. A biography or something. Now, your single Carolina, California has been storming the top 40 Activator chart. How did it feel having chart success 5 decades on?
It's a really nice sort of blessing, and confirmation of what you're doing. I found it to be a miracle because it's a rock song and it's sitting on this chart with a lot of pop music and urban R&B kind of music. Doesn't really belong there in my mind, but there it was. And it certainly it felt great. It's not going to change anything that I do or don't do, and all I can say is feeling grateful is the primary thing that in terms of how it felt.
Yeah, I bet you after all of that time, it's nice to get like some kind of recognition.
I tell you, here's another funny story. At the time when the song was climbing, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones had Beatles just put out that last song that they did, and the Stones had that last album that came out, and that stuff was coming out as I was also climbing the charts. And there was a time there where my song was whatever it was, 38 or something, and the Beatles, Stones were down in the 60s and 70s. So I immediately called my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, I'm on this chart with the Beatles and the Stones." And she just said, "John, does this mean you're going to make any money now?" And I no, Mom, no.
Either, but I bet it felt wonderful, you better
believe I printed that thing out and framed it.
I thought you would. Yes. You need to get the Stones and the remaining Beatles to sign it.
Right? Yeah.
Excellent. Now, you played all instruments on Carolina, California, apart from the drums that have been re-recorded by Brian McRae. Was it a bit of a challenge laying down all the instruments yourself?
I mean, it's not a challenge for me. Obviously, I can't. We already talked. I can't play drums at all, so that's certainly an issue. An issue with. Thank God for Brian, who's on this tour, by the way.
Right.
You know, I always tend to do that. I always tend to play all or most of the instruments, and it's a control thing for sure. But you know, also it's convenience. You know, if I have an idea, I can get to it immediately and not have to either communicate or wait on someone else. So that's helpful. You know, helpful to me, and it kind of, I think in the end it gives a feeling of authenticity. You know, maybe I'm not the best guitar or bass player, but what you're hearing is directly, you know, from me.
Yes.
And I think somehow it comes through. You know, I hope it does anyway.
It certainly does. And I mean, I suppose if you're recording everything yourself, if you wanted to make any adjustments, you can just do it, because you're going to go, well, fair enough, I've got to record it all yourself, rather than Huff and the other members of the band saying, can you record your bit again, and your bit again, and your bit again? And it's like,
I just ask my other personalities, hey, do you think you can recut that thing? And then sometimes I argue, with myself. But usually I accommodate myself. Yeah,
that's right. Normally you always win the conversation.
That's right.
Now, your new single, Daisy Chains, is out now on all platforms ahead of your UK tour. Is it your first time in the UK?
I spent a very short time back in September opening for a wonderful band called Rosie and Holly Henderson. So that was my first time in the UK. I just only did 3 shows, and I had such a wonderful time during that tour. I just could not wait to come back and just meet as many people as I possibly could, and that's the goal. This time is exactly that. I really just I love talking with people here and hearing their stories and hearing how like one town doesn't like the people from another town, that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's just so fascinating to me. Like, you know, for example, the people in Cambridge weren't too happy with the people in Norwich. It might had to do with a football game or something, you know, but that was fun.
Yeah, it's a bit like we've got Newcastle United and we've got Sunderland as well. So they have the rivalries, you see. It's like Manchester City and Manchester United. There's a rivalry there, even though they're just a couple of miles apart. You know, so do you have that kind of thing from where you're from? Because are you originally from DC?
I am, and yes, and you know, our American football, where we barely use our feet.
Yeah.
I grew up in that culture. The people in Washington D.C. just detest the people in Dallas, Texas, just over the sports team. And, you know, crazy enough, I go to this diner near myself, and wouldn't you know it, the owner of that diner loves the Dallas team, and he's got their team picture on the wall, and he always tries to make me sit under it.
It's funny how wherever you go in the world, you know, people always have this like similarities, don't they?
That's true. That's true. But I tell you what, though. There's some unique things about folks over here that I really appreciate that we don't have in the U.S. And I'm so grateful and thankful. You know, for example, just so many humble and wonderful people to talk with over here that I get to meet. You know, they're just coming out to bars and pubs. They're just my kind of people, and you know, I wish I could do that every day of my life. You know.
I bet. It's excellent. It's lovely to have you here with us. Now, where can listeners follow you and find out where you're going to be visiting on your tour?
The best place is my website. There's some links to the shows on there. I mean, honestly, we've had a couple of changes, and then I had a idea that since we're all here, we should enter a recording studio while we're all together. So we'll be doing that too. And some of that necessitated some changes. But yeah, on my johnfishell.com website is the best place. I make sure that is absolutely accurate at all times.
And do you have any future projects that you could tell us about?
Yes. You know, there's always more songs in the pipeline. I'm going to be dipping my foot into an interesting combination of what I do plus what my the Asian friend does. He's a bonsai artist, which is a bamboo flute. So when he and I play together, it makes a very interesting combination. So there's some music going to come out on that front as well.
It sounds absolutely fantastic. Is that like the panpipes kind of thing?
Yeah, it interesting. I tease him because I say he's playing a piece of panda food as an instrument. But no, he's an Indian classical music artist. So playing the ragas and all that. And when you put his thing with my thing, it makes I'm a little rowdy, honestly, and he's very soothing. So put the two of us together. And, it gives the soothing people a headache. It gives the rowdy people an excuse to calm down a little bit.
And do you play Cachapaya? Have you heard of that one before?
No.
Do you know that one?
I have heard that, and
yes,
I will suggest that.
Yeah, and I think somebody plays like a ukulele as well in the background.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you'll have to get that one suggested there, because that one's a good one. Yeah, no one's recorded that one since it was released in the 80s. Was it something in the charts?
Yeah, it was. I kind of remember that, yeah.
Yeah, get that one recorded. That'll be fabulous. Now, the vinyl revival is here, so I must ask you, what is your favourite record you have ever bought, and which song is your go-to track?
Okay, the first... Well, there's two. Can I say two? The first record I purchased with my own money was Kiss Alive 2.
Wow.
When that came out, and that just blew my mind. But I was really young for that, and I didn't quite grasp it.
Yeah.
So then the next record I bought was Def Leppard's Pyromania.
Wow, that's a good one.
And that I think, as far as an album, that's one of my favorites, and I've been chasing that my whole life. That sound and that sort of feeling of power that record gave me. Yes. I want to instill that in what I'm doing all the time.
And if you are going to go to one of the albums, what track would you, if you had a turntable next to you now, what track would you put the needle on now for us?
Oh God, the fourth side of Kiss Alive 2 has some studio recordings that they added. Rocket Ride was on there. All American Man was on there. For some reason, I just always love those, even though they're really cheesy.
Yeah,
cheesy songs. And then on the Def Leppard, gosh, like Photograph, I think would be the one that really spoke to me. Foolin', Photograph, those kind of things.
Excellent. They're really good choices. I like them. Now, you wouldn't believe this, John, we've actually run out of time.
Oh.
So, yes. Oh, goodness gracious me. But I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me on the show, John, and I'd like to say all the best for your UK tour. I know it's going to be such a great success, and also good luck with your brand new single, which is Daisy Chains. And would you mind introducing your new single, Daisy Chains, for us, please?
Of course. Hey, I'm John Fishell, and you're getting ready to listen to Daisy Chains.
That's excellent. Thank you so much, John, for joining us on the show, and all the best. And it'd be great to have you on the show in the future. Would you like to come on again?
Oh, you better believe it. You've been fantastic, by the way. You definitely saw someone that knows what they're doing.
Thank you so much, John. All the best then. Take care now. Bye-bye now.